Let's speak to our friend, former BBC producer John Mair, on this point. Slightly different issue around this, John. I was just reminding when I was looking at the clips there from Sports Personality of the Year how huge this event now looks. This kind of was Oscar-like. One of the things that used to mark it out for me that it was the very sort of antitheses of glitz in a way, and that's almost what gave it its identity and made it stronger. It ain't what it used to be, to coin a phrase.
Ian, my fellow ex-BBC employee, it was what I'd call a polo event last night. I watched all 2 hours of it. It had a great big hole in the middle, and that hole was called BBC Sports Rights. The BBC doesn't have many sports rights now. You know, it has no money. Every government squeezed it to squeeze it till the pip squeak. So there was a big hole that they don't have the sports, they don't have the events. So they're a bit like Channel 4 were in the 1990s. They're stuck with minority events. You know, they're virtually doing tiddlywinks and things like that. So it was therefore sort of look at the films and look at where they came from. You know, it showed the state of BBC Sport at the moment. But you know, it's a confected row, this one. You know, who's complained? Piers Morgan, or Piers Moran, as I think Private Eye calls him, and Jerry Barton. I haven't seen many other people complaining. So so you picked up on that. But you know, there's not really a row here, is there? As your last person said, the public voted for her. You know, it was a public vote, and she won it. I mean, I will say that I thought the shortlist was a bit overworked, even for the BBC. You know, one disabled, one black, one woman. You know, it was a bit overworked. But you know, that's the modern BBC. So you know, the show it's a bit of shadow of its former self. It really was. It was like watching the Harlem Globetrotters, really, because you know they're all a bit past their prime. I'm not sure why the BBC spent all that money on it.
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, just on that point, because I certainly don't want to hammer it home, John. It's not really my thing to confect an outrage on this. But I do get that our first guest that we had on, Poppy from The Telegraph, she's young, she's under 30, she's a journalist. She felt that the BBC try too often to make shows for people like her. She happens to be white, but if she was black or brown, that would also suit the BBC. There is more of an obsession with diversity than there is with actually getting on with it and producing stuff. You know, it's sport, people won't like me saying this, but it's disproportionately watched and enjoyed by males, not exclusively. Yeah. I wouldn't say otherwise. And yet you wouldn't think that. You mentioned the shortlist there. OK, the public did vote for the winner. They didn't put together the shortlist, however. And
no.
It's that... Say again?
Yeah, your man from The Sun put together a shortlist. You know, there were 12 good men and women and true who put it together. I think, as I said, I think it was a bit overwokey. It had, you know, too many minorities. But I mean, but look at it, a brilliant event. But you know, what was it celebrating? It wasn't celebrating BBC Sport. Yeah. And by the way, there were far too many presenters. I mean, how many were there? 5 or 6. You know, it was this one, that one, the other one, and you know, they didn't have time for the names that were there. You know, they need to rethink that whole event, I think, and possibly make it a lot more intimate. And the better story is, why did Rory McIlroy not show up?
There it is. That is, we should put that out as the question of the afternoon. There will be some interesting theories.
He sent his mate with long hair instead, didn't he?
That's absolutely right. John, always a pleasure. Thank you, John Mair, former BBC producer, with us on the programme.